Guys, it's Shadowstorm ground beginning a Wi-Fi battle against umbreOwn. I lead off with Zatu, he leads off with Gengar. He goes straight for the Shadow Ball, not bothering setting up or anything. So my Zatu gets knocked down to its sash. Yeah, so now I Trick Room just to get that up, so that all my slower Pokemon will be faster than his fast Pokemon. I probably should have U-turned here, but here I went for the Psychic. He obviously predicted that and went for his Latias, and goes to his Latias, I mean. The Latias probably bulky because it has Life Orb. I mean, not Life Orb, whatever. Leftovers, jeez. So now I U-turn and it gets a little damage on him, not that much. But I get to switch out and I go into my Porygon 2, which I know can take any of his attacks relatively well. He uses Psychic and it doesn't do anything, but it gets a special defense drop, which is annoying, but it doesn't really matter. So he gets some more leftovers and I just Toxic him just to get some residual damage on him so that I can actually kill him sometime soon. He Roosts, which gets all of his health back, which is annoying. But he's toxic, so it shouldn't make too much difference. He starts taking damage from Toxic, and I Ice Beam just to see how much it would do, and it's super effective, but it does like nothing, which pretty much shows that it's bulky. Then he uses Psychic and does nothing again. He takes some damage from Poison. And Trick Room wears off, but I'm okay with that because I can just easily set it up again. He uses Psychic and it takes me down to under half, but I just Trick Room and so that I'll be faster next turn, so I can just recover up. The Toxic is really starting to wear him down, so this turn he's gonna switch to save his Latias for later. He goes into his Monkey Man, which is his Daruma, and I just recovered just to get my health back. Here I didn't really want to take an attack from this thing, so I go into my Shandera, predicting a fire type move. But he goes for Superpower, which works just as well, because I'm immune to that too. Because my Shandera has Flash Fire. I Shadow Ball, hoping it would KO, but it just barely doesn't. Like, it lives with like 10 hit points. So now he just Rock Slides and kills me, which sucks, because I don't like getting killed. At least my Shandera doesn't. Okay, so Shandera faints and he's not choiced in any way, so I really don't know what item he's carrying. He switches into his Latias. I go for Crunch on a switch with my Sazendora, which I sent out on his Daruma, which has like 10 hit points left. He goes back into his Daruma because the Trick Room wears off. I switch out, predicting a Superpower, and I go into Dusclops, who can easily take that because it's the Ghost type. Which it does, because he goes for Superpower, which I'm immune to, which is nice. He goes for Flare Blitz, and I kind of underestimated the power of Daruma here. I didn't think it would do that much, but it did a lot. Like, it did over half. But because he only had like 10 hit points left, he dies from recoil. I just go for Trick Room just to get that back up. Now he goes into his Mamambo. I go for Pain Sport because I think it has a lot of HP, so I just wanted to get like all my HP back, which I do because Dusclops has very little HP. He uses toxic on me, which sucks because now my Disclops is pretty much, it's not useless, but it's like, its usage is like, it's not as good as it was before. Put it that way. I go back into my Zatu as Death Fodder. I wanted to go into my Sazendora, but I didn't want him to like boiling water. Then it was like, then I didn't want him to boiling water and get a burn in my Sazendora, which definitely would have sucked. Then he gets all of his HP back because he has Wish. Now I go into my Sazendora. He goes for Protect, and I go for Draco Meteor, which is okay, I guess, because kind of sucks because now he knows that I'm mixed. Because he saw Crunch and he saw Draco Meteor. He goes into his mole thing, Doriyuzu. He has a balloon, and I Draco Meteor, and despite it being resistant and Doriyuzu having a lot of HP, it still takes over half from that, which is pretty impressive. Good job, Sazendora. So I switch out because the Chick Room just wore off. Go into my Dusclops, who can pretty much take any attack from that thing, which it does pretty handily, pretty nicely, I mean. He goes for Shadow Claw, which is super effective, but it doesn't do anything because Dusclops is a beast like that. And I used Trick Room to get that back up because it wore off again. Yeah. I used Earthquake just to finish the Doriyuzu off, which is awesome. It's pretty cool how Dusclops actually took out a Pokemon. Usually it just like doesn't. He goes into his Mamambo, and I switch out into my Sazendora, predicting a Protect. What? I go into my Sazendora. He uses Toxic. I use Draco Meteor just to finish it off. Because it's a lot, because Sazendora is pretty beastly. So it one-hit shots at Mamambo, which is nice. With Draco Meteor. Here I believe he goes into his... Oh, he goes into his Notori. I switch out because I can't... I want to keep this thing alive for later because it can pretty much take anything out on his team right now. He uses Stealth Rock, which kind of has me worried because I don't want my Sazendora to like die and switch in. Or take extra damage to shield and switch in. So he Earthquakes. I Earthquake on him. And he does like 53%, something, a little over half. But I'm not going to be able to hit KO because he has leftovers. He switches into his Gengar, predicting an Earthquake, which is pretty obvious. And it was immune because it has Levitate. So I switched out and going back into my Dusclops, because I predicted a Focus Blast. This is pretty key. He lives Stealth Rock pretty handily, or pretty nicely, and he uses Focus Blast, which I predicted. This is why I went to him in the first place. And he lives Toxic, which since his choice, he has to switch now, which means I can get Trick Room up. He couldn't really do anything, so he kind of had to set up Trick Room there. He kind of had to switch there to Notori. Sorry.